Hey everybody, a few months back I did a video about surviving in the city. Excuse me. This video today is going to kind of piggyback on that, and I'll tell you why. I didn't touch these topics necessarily in the last video. I can't remember what I did and I didn't. I know there's a few here that I didn't. So this is going to be helpful. It's geared toward folks that have an apartment or a condo. Their situation is far different from someone who owns a home. Now, if you own your condo, you'll be better off than the folks that rent an apartment, but we'll get into all that. So, jump right into it. All right, security, we're going to start there. Since you're in an apartment, there's a limit to what you can do for your security. You can get door alarms. I know you're aware of that just, some of them use two-sided tape, and once that little magnetic barrier is broken, the alarm goes off. But you guys are aware of that already. What you might want to consider is two things. One, get a pole that is a security pole that goes underneath the door handle down to the floor at an angle. Now, they have these on Amazon from anywhere from $9 to $20. I would suggest that you go to, Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, something like that, because there you will be able to have a hands-on approach to purchasing it. When you see something on Amazon, you can't tell what the quality is, but if you go to a home improvement store, you're going to have a few items to choose from that you can pick up and inspect and look at and say, okay, this one's pretty beefy, this is made nice. I suggest you do that. But they're going to run you around, I'm going to take the top end and say they're going to run you around $20. But one of those poles are great. They do make a big difference in making it difficult to open a door considerably. So consider getting one of those poles. That's first. Second, there is a product called a slash jammer, okay? Now, they only take 2 screws to put in. I recommend you put one in about 4 inches from the top of the door, 4 inches from the bottom of the door, okay? The screws that they give you to put in these slash jammers, don't use them. Just set them aside and put them in a little tin where you keep extra screws, nuts, and bolts. Get some 2-inch long screws, put these slash jammers in with those screws. Now, you can put these things in, and when you leave, you can take them out. You can back out those 2 screws, get a little bit of wood putty, fill the holes, sand them off. Just take you, half hour to let the stuff dry or whatever. Sand it off, and then you're good to go. They've already charged you a cleaning fee, so they're going to go in and paint and do everything anyway. You're certainly not damaging their property, especially if you fill the holes that you made from the little screws, which I'm sure they couldn't care less about. So these slash jammers, once you put them in and you close your door, you can put that bar under your door, and then these slash jammers, they're not like the little, well, you're going to see a picture here. Okay, as you can tell, they're not like the little brass plate that goes over. These things are beefy, they're very difficult to break or damage, and they're very secure for your doors. Add a lot of security. So consider those. Now, for your windows, or if you have a sliding glass patio door or balcony door, just get a wooden dowel. Get a 3/4 inch, 5/8 an inch, whatever, wooden dowel, and just cut it to length and set it down in the bottom where the door slides in the track. Just close your door, put that thing in the bottom, you'll be good to go on that. All right, so those are a few things that I feel are very important for you, being that you're in an apartment or a condo. If shift happens and you're stuck and you can't leave for some reason and you stay in your apartment, you decide to wait it out, you really need some type of security besides that stupid little chain they give you, okay? Or just your single deadbolt. Because keep in mind, most of these door locks that people put in, they have very small little screws in them, and those break. That's what always gives. It's not that the lock breaks or anything. The screws, when the door gets kicked, those little dinky screws just rip right out. You need 2-inch screws and everything. So anyway, just want to let you know about that. Now, Moving on. I will say, excuse me, I forgot. Coffee. I will say that if you're living in an apartment, in the city, you're going to be in a situation where you have a higher chance of needing to bug out. You need to keep that in mind. I'm not necessarily for bugging out, but you got to do what you got to do. And if you're in the city and things go really bad, you might have to bail. So be sure you have your bug out bags ready to go at all times. But on top of that, make sure you have some kind of cart, something with wheels that you can put your, especially if you have wife and kids and you've got to walk, you got to hoof it. Nobody's going to want to carry those bug out bags for very long. Okay, and if you got kids, they're not going to want to walk for very long. So I suggest you get some kind of cart that people can throw their stuff in, or your kids can hop on and ride on, and you can push that cart while you're walking, because it's going to be really hard on kids, especially the little kids. And it'll be hard on you and your wife, and even if you have older kids, humping that bug out bag for very long. And you're going to want to put it in a cart and just hoof it. So keep that in mind. Have some kind of cart. Now, I did say that in the other video, but I wanted to reiterate that. Now, I want to talk about your food and water. First is the obvious. Get some buckets, okay, or some potted plants, the pots for plants, and grow as much of your own food as you can, as space permits on your patio, or if you have a balcony that the sun hits. Try to grow as much of your own food as you can. Now, I know you're really limited, but anything is better than nothing. Okay? You can always grow herbs and things like that if you want, if you don't want to grow food just to help your food taste better. But you can do a lot. You can do a lot. Tomato plants, I don't know. There's a lot. You can do zucchini or cucumbers or tomato plants or, something. And grow them in pots on your balcony or your patio. It's just something to think about. Now, food and water. I want to strongly suggest, and I know it's expensive, but space is a premium in an apartment. You don't have very much room at all. I know. I lived in an apartment for years, mini apartments, and I know you're limited on space. So keep this in mind. I know it's more expensive, but canned goods take up a lot of space. It's totally up to you, obviously, but if I were you, I would strongly suggest that you have and you acquire freeze-dried foods, or you freeze-dry your own. Now, yes, you can freeze-dry your own if you have the money to buy a freeze dryer. I know people that have them, and they do their own, and it works out wonderful for them. But you may not be able to afford that, so if you can, I would strongly suggest freeze-dried foods. They don't take up near the space that canned goods and boxed foods takes up. And if you were, doing for a family and you have like number 10 cans or something, that is a really big space hog right there. So you can get these trays, I'm sure you guys know this stuff, but they're like 4 inches tall, a foot or two long, and a foot wide or whatever. And you can put a lot of packets of freeze-dried food in those things and slide them under your bed. Depending on your furniture, you might be able to slide them under a couch. But they don't take up a lot of space, but they do hold a lot of food. So please don't just blow this off. Consider this. Freeze-dried foods don't take up a lot of space. Buckets do, but you get a lot of food in a bucket. Okay, so figure out space. You guys can have to do that on your own, and think about freeze-dried. It's very important. Now, that comes with its own issues as well. You have freeze-dried food, it requires water. So, water. So long as the water is running, you guys are doing great. The water may not run all that long, so you need to consider that. So for your water, a couple of options. One is the I don't know what they call them, water bob or something. It's just a big bag, plastic bag that goes in your bathtub, and it attaches to the spigot on your bathtub. to the spout there. And it comes with a pump. They're not very much. I looked at them. Yeah, they're a 100-gallon water bag for your tub. You can get on Amazon for $35, and that includes the pump to pump the water out. And if you're in an apartment, well, more than likely your water's fine. It's potable water, and you can drink it. So you can, in an emergency situation, you can fill that 100 gallons of water and let it sit in your bathtub, right? It'll be fine. Sun's not coming through and growing algae. The light's off in the bathroom most of the time. You don't live in the bathroom. So you have a lot of water that you can have at your disposal there, okay? If it looks like things are going to go bad, fill that puppy up, keep it, set it aside, just leave it in there. If washing is an issue for you, like in other words, you don't have a shower and a bathtub, a lot of apartments don't. If water's that big a deal, if taking a shower is that big a deal in your situation, whatever that may be, run some water in the sink, some hot water in the sink, and wash with a washcloth. You can stand in front of the sink and wash yourself down and clean yourself up just fine. I mean, listen, you do it when you're camping. If it's a shift situation and it's emergency, it's important. Hygiene's important, but you can do it in the sink. And you can save that 100 gallons of water for you to be able to drink, because water's more important than body odor. So, yeah, those bladders for your tub. That'd be my first suggestion. My second is there are water blocks. Okay, they look like Legos, but there's all different kinds. They hold 3.5 gallons of water. 10 of them on Amazon is $110. Now, that's a little bit of money, but it's not much money. I mean, when it comes to prepping, $100 is not much money. So, 10 of these blocks, these water blocks, they have a spigot on them, so you can get the water right off of them, right? They hold 3.5 gallons. You can take your closet, rearrange your closet, take these water blocks, put a couple on the floor or on a plywood, okay? And then put another piece of plywood over those, 2 more water blocks, another piece of plywood over those, 2 more water blocks, or 4, depending on the thickness of the block, okay, and what you can afford to buy. But you can take these water blocks and make shelves anywhere in your apartment. And not only do you have shelves to be able to put something on, because space is a premium, you also have water in those shelves. Each one of those blocks, 3.5 gallons of water. And in an emergency, water is everything, okay? So you could have a bladder, 100 gallons in your tub, and then you could have, these 3.5 gallon blocks, depending on how many of them you want to purchase, and there is a lot more water for you in an emergency. So please keep that in mind. Okay, what else? That's food, water, security. Always a good idea, as I say in every video that I do about water, get a Berkey or something that's an equivalent to. I've already had a lot of you guys say, there's cheaper things out there in Berkeys and they work just fine. Well, that's great. If you don't want to buy a Berkey, buy something and filter your water. Now, if you're in an apartment, more than likely, it's pretty obvious your water is going to be fine. It's potable and it's fine. But if that water is all you have, the water shuts off and you've got to go out and procure water somewhere else, you need to filter that water. So I strongly always suggest getting a Berkey. They come in different sizes or an off-the-wall brand. They come in different sizes from 3 gallons to 7.5 gallons. And they filter. If you use 4 filters, not just 2, 4 filters, that water will filter in about an hour and a half with 4 filters. Okay? So you can get some water going for quite a while. And 4 filters, well, no, I'm not even going to put the limit on it because I can't remember. But it's either 2 or 4 filters will filter out something like 250,000 gallons of water. Okay, so keep that in mind. They last a long time. Okay, what else? Weapons. Weapons for your apartment. That's important. Excuse me. You have to be able to defend yourself and your family, especially if it's a shift situation. What I would suggest to you strongly in your weapons and being able to defend yourself is be considerate, take into consideration penetration of whatever round you're firing. In other words, if you're using a 9mm or a 45 ACP, whatever, a shotgun, if my suggestion is a 9mm and a shotgun. I use a 12 gauge. Tactical style, not a long bird rifle, but a shotgun. Consider your load, okay? Because clearly you have walls all around you. You have neighbors on both sides more than likely in an apartment. And you don't want whatever you're firing going through the wall and hitting another person. So it's really important to consider as much as possible. I mean, your safety comes first. You got to protect your family, okay? But as much as possible, consider the load. So I would strongly suggest you talk with people. Talk at your local gun shop or anyone you know that's really into weapons and they know a lot about the different loads that are available for whatever caliber you choose, and consider a little bit lower load so that the penetration through a wall isn't as great and the risk factor of hurting someone else can drop down a little bit. You are in an apartment, okay? So that's very important. Even if you don't think so, it's important. What's more important is that you practice. Practice, practice, practice. If you're going to have a gun, whether it's a handgun or a shotgun in your apartment, it needs to be second nature. You need to know how to use that thing inside out and backwards. Not only as a weapon, firing it and practicing, but breaking it down, field stripping it, taking it apart, cleaning it, repairing it. You need to be able to do those things. So keep that in mind. Just having a shotgun or a handgun, because you live in an apartment and I'm going to buy a handgun and put it under my pillow, that isn't enough. You need to train, practice, practice, practice. And you need to be able to break that gun down, clean it, put it back together if it breaks. Okay, that means you need plenty of ammo. You need a cleaning supply, a cleaning kit with a little bit extra supplies. Because if you're practicing as much as you should be cleaning your gun fairly often. You're going to run out of supplies. So you need to have a decent cleaning kit and some supplies to take care of that gun. And think of the parts that are on that gun. Find out what parts wear out the fastest and get some extra parts for that gun, okay? It could be triggers, springs, I don't know, different things. The hammer, the slide, it's always something. Things break. So you need to be able to do your own repairs in a shift situation yourself. So keep that stuff in mind. All right, that's it. I just wanted to throw those things out. Folks that live in an apartment have a whole different set of circumstances to have to deal with that those of us that live in a home, or like I do, rurally, in Podunk, in a town of nobody, 100 people, actually less than 100 people. We have 90 people, I think, currently in my town. You guys have a different set of circumstances, and I'm just touching a couple of things here. You need to be really creative. Think ahead. Think. Watch a lot of YouTube videos, do a lot of reading. Find out things that you can do to protect yourself, beef up your security, and for food and water storage. Also, throw this out, medical. You need to have a really good medical bag. I'm not talking about a Walmart first aid kit. If you're in an apartment and it's shift and you're on your own, you better have a good medical kit. Okay? You can spend anywhere from $100 to, get crazy and over $1,000 on a trauma bag, depending on the amount of gear in a trauma bag and what you know. Of course, your medical ability comes into play here. But, medical supplies, very important too. So that's it. I'm talking too long. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for your comments that you guys leave. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you like it. Please do comment. If you do like it, share the video with other people. I want to stay in the recommended section. YouTube is picking on me. I'm not whining, but my channel isn't growing according to YouTube. They're holding my numbers down. Whether you guys believe that or not, it's a fact. My numbers have dropped by 400 people in the last few months, and subscribers. Now, I know that's not true because I'm constantly getting new subscribers, 20 or so a batch. Every time I do a video, you see that I'm getting new subscribers, but YouTube is keeping those numbers down, which adds to not allowing me to be in as easily the recommended section on YouTube. And I'd like to stay in that recommended section. So I'd appreciate all your comments, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever they are, and sharing the videos. That would be great. Thank you for all your support. Thank you to those of you who support me on Patreon. I really appreciate that. If you guys want to do that, there's links in the About section, different ways to do that, not just Patreon, but other ways as well. And that's always appreciated. Stay safe, stay alert. We'll have another video out soon. Our next video, though, will be on our series on Revelation. That'll be the next video I put out. Trying to balance this out so we're not only, spiritually speaking preparation, but the physical, like I'm telling you about now as well. It's very important to be balanced in your preps. It won't do any good to save your neck. You die and then you go to hell. You need your spiritual preparation taken care of as well. Okay, you need to have yourself right with God, and that's very important. It's more important than your physical prepping. Okay, this life, like it says in Scripture, is a vapor. I mean, I'm 61. Okay, it just seems like nothing. It seems like nothing when I was in my 20s and 30s and touring around in a band. And those days they seem like yesterday to me, and they're not, but time goes by that fast. And your spiritual preparedness is the most important thing you can do. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Stay safe. Stay alert.